Hi, everybody. Jeff Marr here, and joining me is Michelle Gasser, third and fourth grade teacher at STEM, who is also taking on our professional development. And today we are talking about standards-based learning, something that STEM has been wanting to put into place for the past couple of years, and now there's an opportunity to do that. And really, it's going to be the focus for professional development along with PBL moving forward. And Michelle's going to talk about standards-based learning, what it is, what it means, and why is it happening now. Michelle, thank you for talking with us. And
Hi.
so let's just start with the basics for standards-based learning. What is it all about?
So standards-based learning is a way to shift the focus away from grades and more onto learning. It is also a way to build consistency and clarity for all of our stakeholders. So no, in the past, teachers were able to, in a sense, grade students based off of how they have their class set up. So some teachers were giving participation grades, some teachers were grading homework, some were not. And so it was really the luck of the draw, in a sense, for students as to who your teacher was and how you would be graded towards the standards. This standards-based learning takes that out of the equation. Groups and teams, departments will come together to determine what proficiency scales are for specific standards. So the grade levels will look at standards together. They'll determine which are the priority standards that students must learn within that grade level or within that course. And from there, as a department, they'll determine exactly what that a 3, a 4, a 2, or a 1, for example, what proficiency means on that scale. And we take out the behaviors and we focus strictly on what can the student do and what can they demonstrate.
Well, tell us how this is going to be implemented starting in the fall of this upcoming school year.
We are going to have the entire school year next year to learn about proficiency scales, to make our proficiency scales, to begin taking the units that we currently have and tweaking them a bit and adapting them if we need to fit those proficiency scales, and to really align all of the courses within a department or within a grade level, so that the following fall, so fall of 2022, we can implement standards-based learning and grading. So then these stakeholders, as far as our community, parents, and students, will be receiving their grades, and all grades will be reported using standards-based learning. However, we're not doing that next year. Next year will be a learning year for us and will be a year for us to develop so that we're ready to implement.
And Michelle, what do you think students and parents need to know about this process moving forward? How is it going to impact them directly?
So the really neat part that we have seen from other districts who have implemented standards-based learning is it changes the mind shift for our students as well. They track their progress. They see, oh, I only received a 2 on this. Why did I only receive a 2 on this? Do I have another opportunity to take that feedback that my teacher gave me, make the corrections to my own work to improve my score? So we start seeing that the students are taking that ownership for their own learning because they want to do better, but they also see that the feedback that they're receiving is meaningful. It's not, oh, I received this score on my assessment, move on. It's I continuously have an opportunity to grow and show what I know and what I can do.
And it's interesting because I think back to my school years and how we were graded. Once you got your grade, whether it was on an essay or a quiz or the final grade of the school year or semester, that was it. There wasn't an opportunity to change it, to fix it, to offer any other alternative. And so based on what you're saying, there's actually going to be opportunities for students to make changes, to make improvements before it's counted for their final score, correct?
Yes, within reason. So for example, if you're giving or if you're teaching a unit and that unit then takes, let's say it takes 3 weeks, and I'm actually gonna share an example of what I'm talking about here. So this is an example from another school district, and this is on a unit for equivalent fractions. The teachers, this grade level, sat down and decided that this unit was going to take them about 14 days to get through that assessment piece. What they did was they factored in an additional 2 days for that reteach, but also for that feedback. And then they put these checks for understanding in the middle. That would be, and also kind of towards the beginning. So throughout, they put these checks for understanding, meaning that at this stage here, that might be a grade that the teacher would take from that student for that assessment, for that project, for that activity, for example. That student would then receive the feedback and be able to make those changes throughout the unit as they continue to learn. There's an additional 2 days planned into this unit in particular, so that the teacher has that opportunity to pull small groups and do a reteach, but also has an opportunity for the students to take that feedback from their final assessment and say, wait a minute, I must have misunderstood how that question was because I really know this information. Or I know how to do this. Can I show it to you in an alternative way? So it's going to give those students the ability to communicate with their teachers based off of the feedback that they receive and really take that active ownership in their learning. There will be deadlines set, and those are up to the teacher to turn around and say, you have until next week, Friday, and then we're moving on, or you'll have, another 3 days to get me whatever it is, and then we will be moving on to the next standard. So there will be some deadline set, but there is that flexibility as well.
And how do you feel about standards-based learning being a teacher, being someone who has been accustomed to a certain style of grading and then shifting to this? Do you see more pros than cons with it, or do you see more advantages for both the teacher and the student?
I do. I really, I've been trying it with my students. What was very interesting is I tried it with an assignment, a writing assignment, and I gave the students, we had a writing project to finish, and I graded their final project, but I did not post their grades into Canvas. I kept their grades on a sheet of paper based off of the rubric that I was using, that the students were aware of the rubric. And I handed it back to them without a grade on it. And it only had feedback on it. And I told them, I said, I wrote your grade down. I have it. You don't need to know it. It's okay. I want you to take the feedback. You have until this time to make whatever corrections you want. If you don't want to make corrections, that's fine. We'll keep the score that you have. But if you do want to make corrections, make sure you turn it in by this time, and I will regrade it based off of that feedback. And every one of my students resubmitted their work. Even the students that had a 4 or had the highest score went back and added things to their work. They went back and took my feedback and added dialogue or added details to their work. So it took the grade out of the equation, and it really put that focus on, my teacher gave me feedback to make me better, and I can take that feedback, go in, do my work, and raise it up to the next level.
It's an interesting concept, and there are many other school districts that are already using standards-based learning. And again, I think back to some pretty terrible test scores that I received and how demoralizing it was, and also embarrassing to have to bring that home and show it to your parents. And this standards-based learning model, had that been applied, at least I would have had the opportunity to make some changes before that final score is tallied. So it's kind of a learning experience as you go along with grading. It's very interesting. I'm curious, with the new staff onboarding, new teachers who come into STEM, are you going to be involved in teaching them standards-based learning and how it works if they don't already know how it works?
Yes. So what we're doing, the focus for the remainder of this year, is prioritizing our standards. That is step one of standards-based learning. It is having each grade level or department go through their standards. There are more standards than you could possibly teach. A typical amount of standards for standards-based learning for proficiency scales for a course is between 15 to 20 standards. Currently, at last count in language arts, we were upwards of almost 40 standards in language arts. So a lot of those standards could be supporting standards that could be taught within some of the prioritized standards. So for the remainder of the year, what we're doing is we're prioritizing our standards. We're determining what are the key things that which standards do we need to focus on for the 2021-2022 school year. And then what we're going to be doing is we're learning how to make those proficiency scales. What does a 3 look like? And a 3 is your standard. You are taking your standard the way that it is written, and that is a 3. And then what does a 2 look like? What does a 4 look like? And as a department, you'll put that together. And that'll be the focus of our training at the beginning of the school year next year. And as the school year progresses, then we'll start, our PD will progress into instructing using proficiency scales. How can we match our instruction so that we are hitting all of those levels on a proficiency scale? And then what does our assessment look like? Do we have some level 2 questions on our assessment, which would be kind of rote memorization? Do we have some level 3 questions? Do we have some level 4 questions on our assessments so that we can then say, yes, this child can do these level 4 questions on an assessment or on an assignment or in a PBL.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Before we wrap up, did you have any other information that you wanted to get out there to students, parents, or teachers at STEM?
I think that it's important to know that we are taking this slow. We want to do it right. This is something that STEM is committed to. We have wanted to do this for the last 2 years. So this is not something that just willy-nilly we put together and decided overnight that this is what we were going to do. This is something that STEM has wanted to do for the past 2 years. And we are fully committed to making it work and taking the time that we need in order to make it work. If we have to move our goal deadline, then we'll move our goal deadline. But we're going to this will be our path for next year.
All right, Michelle Gasser, we're looking forward to the implementation of standards-based learning at STEM, and we'll certainly be following up with you as it continues to be researched and applied and rolled out. Thanks again for talking to us.
Thank you.